So, Dead Island, I recently finished this game for Xbox 360, and it it's a hard game to complain about because I really enjoyed it at first. But the issue is once you really start fleshing out your skill tree, and once you have basically everything that you want, it it kind of loses its novelty. Now there are like four different characters in the game. There's a throwing weapons expert, a sharp weapons expert, with knives and machetes and stuff like that. There's a gun expert character, and a blunt force weapons expert. I picked that character because I knew there'd be a lot of paddles, like wooden paddles around for boats, or broomsticks or pipes or whatever. I knew there'd be stuff like that around everywhere. And later on in the game, I kind of wish I'd picked the sharp weapons person, because that was, I probably would have enjoyed hacking off limbs and would have got the job done probably a lot quicker. But the perk to the blunt weapons expert is it's the force of knocking enemies down definitely helps keep them off of you. I played the game completely solo, which the difference between this and Borderlands, and everyone's comparing it to Borderlands, this game's actually fun to play alone. It's actually fine. You'd probably have more fun playing with friends, but it's not just crap playing alone like Borderlands is. That game sucks so much if you're not playing with friends. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, so the beginning of the game, you meet up with a group of people, and you run out of your little hut or whatever you want to call it, and like someone's getting mauled, and you save his life, so you kind of gain their trust, and you go to a lighthouse at a certain part of the game, and so you find different groups of people that you become kind of friends with, and you get quests from them, and then I don't know, I think it was like 60 or something percent, 70% through the game, or maybe somewhere around maybe halfway, maybe more. You get into the jungle, and it seemed right at that point the game started to kind of lose its fun. Let me pull back and talk more about the combat. Since I was a blunt weapons expert, I was whacking on dudes with sticks and stuff like that. And there's actually an analog combat that you can use. And if I can demonstrate here, you push your stick right or left or up or down or up, or it might be backwards because I'm holding the controller weird. But basically, if you want to swing right, you start one way, and then you go across, and that will allow you to bring your weapon this way and come across. So you can actually control whatever way you're swinging, and you can do that with your strikes, with your punching with your hands, or with brass knuckles or whatever. At the beginning of the game, it's really useful because it's easier to break arms, and that will really help get those big guys that'll knock you on your back. That'll really slow them down, because if they can't punch you, they can only headbutt you and bite you and stuff. And I thought that was real cool, and I got the achievement for killing so many enemies with it. The issue with this is later on in the game, when you really start getting swarmed, the slower analog combat is not useful, in my opinion. So I just went to the automatic, or whatever it is, digital, where I'm just hammering the right trigger and it's just swinging all over. You can still break arms with this, or cut off arms if you're using the sharp weapons person. But it's kind of disappointing that this method wasn't really handled for more enemies. It's probably done better than most games, but it's just too slow, in my opinion. When you're getting swarmed, it's not a possibility. And it's as far as first person melee games, it does this. It does it maybe the best out of all the games I played. I think the only other possibilities would be Mirror's Edge and Condemned. Certainly not Breakdown. That game is not good. But yeah, so you gain quests from people. Like, sometimes you have to throw items into like the back of your truck, and then drive them, like fuel tanks or whatever, and then drive them back to the lighthouse or wherever you are. there's a real poor user interface decision, which is they'll have like a gray box, really, really faint gray box area that you set the item that you picked up into. And when I first played the game, I had to actually go online and look this up because I could not find what I was supposed to do. I parked the truck inside, I picked up these fuel tanks and ran upstairs like real slow because you can barely move when you're carrying stuff, which is just a stupid decision in a game that's all about walking around. And so I was like, I don't know what to do. And I Googled it, and they're like, yeah, look in the corner. And there's just this really, really, really vague, faint, flashing gray box. And so after that, it wasn't as hard to find where I'm supposed to put the items I'm bringing to people. But it wasn't blatantly obvious. I should have picked a better color, like red or something. That's kind of a small flaw. But yeah, I don't know. Like, the game overall, it's like a lot of these open world games. They got their glitches. They got their problems. I had my truck almost drop through the ground one time, and I lost some weapons, which was not cool. They just vanished as I dropped them accidentally. So, and enemies, you'll hit them, and they'll halfway go down, and then just freeze, and you can just beat on them until they decide to come back or just die. So it's pretty messed up sometimes, but it's the glitches overall are not enough to really mess up the game. It's not like Fallout New Vegas, where that game was just such a train wreck when it came out. There's definitely been worse than what you see in Dead Island. But if I was to score this game, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. I hate to give it such a low score, but in my opinion, maybe it would have been a lot more fun if I was playing with friends, but man, over about halfway through the game, it's just, you've basically seen everything. They do have a good amount of enemies that you fight, like I think at least 6 different types of enemies. You got slow shambling zombies, you got running zombies, the infected I think is what they're called. You got big like boomers that spit on you. They don't call them boomers, but I'm calling them that. You got these straitjacket guys that try to rush at you and ram you. You got butchers, which are just these fast guys with real pointy arms that try to slash you up. And there's more I think I'm forgetting, but and thugs, which are just big hulking guys that move slow but punch real hard and send you flying. So overall, the game is worth your time. It is definitely a game you should pick up. It's really fun at first, and it's super addicting. But then once you've, like I said, fleshed out that skill tree, and you start getting further into the game, and you're just following one slow character after another. Towards the end of the game, there's a lot of following people around, and it's not too bad. They don't really die that often. But it's just such drag listening to them talk as they're walking super slow. Sometimes I run, sometimes I don't, and it's just not fun following these idiots around all the time. Overall, though, I think you should play the game. It's good. If you get a gang of people together, it'd be a lot better. So yeah, I'm not a journalist or whatever, so don't take my scores like super seriously. But I'm gonna give this game a 3 out of 5.